Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying arguments in your head as you wonder, why am I still here? Why do you hold on so tightly to someone who keeps hurting you? It feels impossible to simply walk away. Deep in your chest, there might be a voice begging, "Don't leave." Maybe you wonder if leaving means admitting you failed at love. In those quiet moments, the apartment is too still. You remember the laughter, the soft smiles, the small gestures of kindness that once made this feel like home. You recall when their touch brought comfort, not anxiety. Your heart clings to hope, hope that the good days will return. But the truth is, love shouldn't hurt like this. You deserve tenderness and respect. You might even find yourself scoffing at advice to just leave, but the silence after a fight can be deafening. Getting up to pack feels like stepping into a void you're not ready to face. You wonder, am I overreacting? Will I ever be happy on my own? These thoughts swirl endlessly. This isn't about weakness or failure. It's about patterns woven long ago and wounds that never fully healed. So why do we stay? Why do our hearts keep yearning for someone who is often the source of our tears? Let's unravel that mystery together. If you're nodding along, relief may wash over you. At least there's a reason, even if it's painful. If you're still not sure what to think, keep listening. Understanding why you stay doesn't blame you, it empowers you. Knowledge is the first step toward change. Some might say the answer is simple, just leave. But if it were that easy, you wouldn't still be here. People stay for a tangled web of reasons that often make sense only in hindsight. You might recall declaring, "I'm done," only to find yourself back on their doorstep the next day. A sincere apology or a promise to change can be so compelling when your heart is desperate for hope. A single warm hug after months of coldness can make you almost forget all the pain. Think of someone you know. After one particularly cruel fight, she posted about breaking free. Within days, loneliness swallowed her whole. She realized she'd rather be in pain with company than in peace alone. We stay for a tangle of reasons. Fear of being alone. The silence after a breakup can feel like a black hole. You worry you'll never love again or that no one else will come. The thought of ending up utterly alone can be more terrifying than enduring the pain you know. Hope and familiarity. On rare days, they are warm or apologetic. Those moments make us cling to the idea that maybe things can return to how they were at the start. The roller coaster of ups and downs becomes comfortable, familiar, even when it's vicious. Attachment and codependency. We bond deeply to even those who hurt us. Leaving can feel like tearing away a piece of yourself. Sometimes you even believe you can fix them, because maybe you once wanted to fix your parents or someone from your past. We comfort ourselves with the idea that if we love enough, we can heal the situation. Self-doubt and low self-worth. You might doubt your own value after hearing, "You're not enough." Staying in a hurting relationship feels like proof of that lie. I must deserve this. It can seem easier to accept disrespect than to face the shock of believing you deserve better. Blame, guilt, and control. Toxic partners often shift blame onto you. They guilt trip with, "After all I've done for you, you should stay," or threaten consequences if you leave. They make you feel responsible for their happiness or pain, making it almost impossible to step away without second-guessing yourself. Each of these reasons is a thread in an invisible web, anchoring you in place. And often, the start of that web reaches back into our childhood, where our first ideas about love and safety were formed. For now, your mind offers comforting lies. "They didn't mean it. I'm just being too sensitive." Such rationalizations feel true in the moment, giving you reasons to stay a bit longer. Think back to the first time you felt loved. The memories you carry, good or bad, set the compass for your heart. Many of us grew up learning that love and hurt go hand in hand because that was the script at home. For example, maybe your parents only showed affection when you succeeded or behaved perfectly. A warm hug came only after good grades, or a kind word only after a task was done. As a child, you quietly decided love is conditional, or maybe you felt unseen. When a parent had too much on their plate, you vanished in the background. Now, as an adult, you might cling to anyone who looks your way, desperate for attention that was once scarce. These early experiences create attachment styles. If affection felt unpredictable, your brain now craves it desperately. You might find yourself in relationships replaying those old patterns. We bond with what's familiar, even when it's unhealthy. We give our partner another chance because that's what our younger self kept hoping for. Imagine a child who learned love only came with strings attached. As an adult, you might attract partners who follow the same pattern. Love and attention given only after you prove yourself or perform perfectly. You feel anxious whenever the strings seem to loosen, afraid that affection will vanish if you fail. For that child, security felt conditional. As an adult, you might still feel like you have to earn love every day. It's exhausting and it keeps you terrified of losing it. You carry that belief into adulthood without even realizing it. It's why you might cling to someone unstable, to prove to yourself that you are lovable, after all. Have you been unconsciously trying to get your childhood's approval all over again? Each time you cling to them or forgive a betrayal, it's like you're trying to tell your younger self, "I'm here, and it will be okay." Each of us is giving our younger self a hug, hoping to heal that childhood pain. We become experts at reading the smallest signs of affection because the big ones were rare. A nod, a smile, or even a short compliment can light up our hearts, making us think, maybe I've finally done something right. In this way, the blueprint of those first attachments quietly shapes every relationship we enter. We carry the echoes of our childhood bonds into every hug, every fight, every promise of love. Some of the deepest pain from a toxic relationship isn't really about right now at all. It's about what was never healed back then. When your partner criticizes or hurts you, it can feel cataclysmic, reawakening echoes of your past. A harsh tone or a sudden rejection can trigger that young, scared version of yourself all over again. Have you ever noticed how a tiny argument can turn into a massive blow-up? You might feel like you're breaking down, crying, or screaming, and all it took was one look or one sentence. That's not just drama. It's your nervous system reacting to old wounds. Maybe every time your partner storms out in anger, it replays the scene of someone important leaving the room in your childhood. Or when they threaten to leave you, a flood of abandonment from a past friendship or family breakup washes over you. Those triggers take over, blurring past and present, making it hard to tell which pain is which. You might start to believe the cruelest lie. It's all my fault. You think, I must be truly unlovable if just these words hurt so much. But in reality, the real source of pain lies inside you, old hurts that never got a chance to heal. When you recognize this, it can be liberating. That fear and anger you feel aren't coming from your partner right now, but from those ghosts of relationships long gone. Once you see that, their power over you begins to lessen. You can start to see what's actually happening in the moment rather than reliving the past. Whenever an argument flares up, try to notice. Are you really fighting with this person or with a ghost from the past? That rising anger could be the little kid inside you yelling, "You're not safe!" And their so-called logic sounds an awful lot like someone else you've known who hurt you before. This awareness is the first step in breaking free from that cycle. When possible, pause and check in with yourself during heated moments. A simple thought like, "This feels eerily familiar," can be a clue. Writing these moments down can help too. Over time, you begin to realize the fight may not be about what's happening now, but about old pain resurfacing. This awareness gives you a little distance from your reaction, allowing you to respond with compassion rather than blame. If this is all making sense to you, hit the subscribe button and join the paradox theory. Thank you. Imagine chasing a rainbow. Just when you think you're about to catch it, it vanishes. Yet another slice of color glimmers and you chase again. This is the cycle of intermittent reinforcement in relationships. The kind moments become your rainbow, and every small act of affection hooks you all over again. In toxic relationships, love and affection come and go unpredictably. One week they are warm, tender, apologetic, and you feel euphoric. The next week they are distant, cold, or even cruel. Because those kind moments are rare and vivid, your mind latches onto them. You tell yourself, if only I can make the good days last. That single smile or caring word can mean more to you than most people could understand. Psychologists compare this to gambling. A slot machine doesn't pay out every time, but when it does, you feel a thrill. You keep feeding the machine because the reward, however small, keeps you hooked. In the same way, the unpredictable rewards from your partner keep you playing the game. Each burst of affection is like winning a small prize, even as you suffer countless losses. This cycle is sometimes called a trauma bond. The mix of pain and pleasure creates an intense emotional tie. It feels like the person who hurts you is also somehow the only one who can comfort you. It's similar to Stockholm Syndrome, where hostages bond with their captors. In your case, the person who hurts you becomes the one you anxiously want to please. Why can't you quit? Each time they're kind, your heart hopes that things will finally change. But hoping for change in someone who won't change is like chasing a mirage in the desert. Each promise feels real in the moment, but as soon as the cycle repeats, it vanishes again. Think of it like a slot machine again. Each tiny win makes you come back, even if you lose 100 times. That small victory lights up the machine and your heart again, even if nothing else works. You become willing to endure so much pain for the hope of another token of love. For example, you might catch yourself celebrating when they finally send a simple "How are you?" text after days of silence, treating it like a grand gesture. But love shouldn't feel like an empty promise or an occasional token. You deserve to be treated with kindness consistently. When you realize that love should feel steady and safe, not like flickers in the dark, the choice to let go becomes clearer. Neuroscience shows that this cycle can literally rewire your brain. Love and heartbreak activate the same reward pathways as addiction. Each small act of kindness becomes a brief fix, and every betrayal a painful withdrawal. This is why your brain begs you to stay, even when your heart is crying out to leave. Toxic partners often use cruel tricks to keep control. These are not signs of love, but of manipulation. Think of it as a game where the rules constantly change to benefit them. Some common tactics include gaslighting. They deny or twist what happened, making you doubt your memories and even your sanity. You may find yourself asking, "Did that really happen? Am I imagining things?" They make you feel you are the problem, even though the pain is on their side. Projection. They accuse you of faults and mistakes that they themselves are making. If they flirt with someone else, they might call you unfaithful. If they are angry, they accuse you of overreacting. This way, they shift the spotlight, and you stay busy defending yourself instead of seeing their actions clearly. Silent treatment and emotional blackmail. Sometimes they punish you with total silence until you beg for forgiveness. Other times they guilt trip or threaten, saying things like, "After all I've done for you, how can you think of leaving me?" They might even threaten self-harm or abandonment to keep you from walking away. Their threats make you feel responsible for their feelings. Love bombing and devaluation. Remember how at the start they might have showered you with affection, compliments, and gifts. That was to hook you in. Once you're hooked, those warm gestures disappear and are replaced by criticism, indifference, or even hostility. Every small, sweet gesture you remember makes you cling harder, longing to get back to that first rush of feeling loved. Isolation. They encourage you to distance yourself from friends or family. They might say, "No one else understands us like I do." Over time, your support network shrinks and you become more dependent on them. Notice how these tactics feed into each other. A cruel comment might immediately follow a compliment, so your mind clings to the compliment to dismiss the insult. After a period of silence, a sudden apology floods relief into you, as if nothing bad happened. Before you know it, the whole scenario starts again, each time slightly different but just as damaging. You start to feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting your behavior to avoid setting them off. You become hyper-aware of their moods, their tone, even their silences. You question yourself before you speak, hold back emotions, and suppress your needs just to keep the peace. Over time, your sense of self erodes. You forget who you were before the relationship. Your interests, your friends, your dreams, they've all taken a back seat. It happens slowly, subtly. One compromise leads to another. And before long, you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. You might ask, "How did I get here?" The answer is, piece by piece. Toxic relationships don't consume you all at once. They chip away at your spirit, your independence, your self-worth. The damage is cumulative. It's the cruel word here, the broken promise there, the apology that sounds so sincere but never leads to change. You stay because each piece seems small on its own. But over time, those pieces form a cage made not of steel but of doubt, fear, and emotional dependency. And then there's hope. The most dangerous part, hope keeps you tethered. You remember the good moments, the ones that felt real. Maybe they were, or maybe they were part of the manipulation. But you cling to them because they're the only evidence you have that this could still work. Hope makes you ignore your gut when it screams that something is wrong. Hope makes you wait one more day, give one more chance, forgive one more lie. It's not weakness. It's the most human thing in the world, to want things to get better, to believe in redemption, to think love can conquer anything. But love isn't supposed to feel like this. Love isn't supposed to make you small, scared, or invisible. Real love nourishes. It builds you up. It makes you feel seen, safe, and cherished. If what you're experiencing doesn't feel like that, it's not love. It's attachment, it's trauma, it's survival, and none of those are good enough reasons to stay. Leaving is hard. It might be the hardest thing you ever do, because you're not just leaving a person, you're leaving a version of yourself, the version who believed, who tried, who held on. You're leaving the fantasy of what could have been, and that's painful. But staying is its own kind of death. The slow, silent kind. The kind where you forget how to laugh without fear, how to cry without shame, how to breathe without apology. So you gather your strength. Not all at once, bit by bit. A whisper that says, "I deserve better." A moment of clarity that cuts through the fog. A decision to choose yourself, even if you don't know what comes next. And then, one day, you wake up and decide to stop waiting for them to change. You stop making excuses. You stop shrinking. You begin to remember what life was like before the pain. You remember the sound of your own voice when it wasn't trembling. You remember the joy of doing something just for you. You reach out to a friend you lost touch with. You open a journal and write down everything you were too scared to say. You walk outside and feel the sun on your face, not as a background to your suffering, but as a sign that life still exists beyond the walls you built. The road out isn't easy. You'll have days when you miss them, when you doubt yourself, when the loneliness creeps in and whispers, "Go back." But each time you choose not to, you get stronger. You begin to rebuild your life, your identity, your hope. And eventually you don't just survive, you thrive. You laugh louder. You speak more freely. You stand taller. You realize that what you thought was love was a lesson. A hard one, yes, but one that taught you everything about what you'll never settle for again. So if you're still in the middle of the storm, if you're still wondering whether to stay or go, let me tell you this. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not unlovable. You are someone who loved deeply, who tried hard, who gave more than most people ever would. And now, it's time to give that love to yourself. You don't need to wait for someone else to validate your worth. You already have it. You always did. There's a life waiting for you on the other side of this pain. A life where you are free. A life where your heart beats without fear. Where your love flows without needing to be earned. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be free. And freedom doesn't come from staying in a place that breaks you. It comes from choosing yourself, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. Because pain is not proof of love. And peace is not too much to ask for. You are allowed to walk away from anything that doesn't bring you peace. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to start over. So take a breath. Listen to that small voice inside you, the one that's been silenced for too long. It's still there, still fighting, still waiting for you to come back home to yourself. Let this be the moment you stop waiting for someone to save you. Let this be the moment you save yourself. And as you walk away from what hurt you, don't look back to see if they're watching. Don't wait for an apology that may never come. Walk forward, even if your legs are shaking, even if your heart is breaking. Walk forward, because every step you take away from them is a step closer to who you really are. And that person is worth everything. Because the truth is, when someone repeatedly disrespects you, blames you, manipulates your emotions, or makes you feel small, it's not just about the words they use or the arguments they start. It's about the silent erosion of your soul. It's about that invisible thread of your dignity being pulled apart, thread by thread, day after day. It's about how you start to look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back. And the more you justify their actions, the more you silence that inner voice crying for peace, the deeper you sink into a version of yourself you were never meant to be. The path forward won't be easy. There will be moments of doubt, loneliness, even longing. But don't mistake those feelings as signs you made the wrong choice. They're just echoes. Echoes of the bond that once felt real. Echoes of the story you hoped would unfold differently. Echoes of your own heart trying to recalibrate after being used to chaos. But echoes are not instructions. They are not signals to return to what broke you. They are reminders of how far you've come. The longer you're away, the more clearly you'll see the truth. You'll start to notice how much lighter you feel, how much calmer your mind becomes, how your self-worth begins to rebuild, not from someone else's approval, but from your own integrity. You'll look back not with bitterness, but with wisdom, not with regret, but with gratitude, for the lessons, for the growth, and for the version of you that finally decided enough was enough. And maybe someday you'll meet someone who shows you that love doesn't have to come with wounds, that affection doesn't have to be earned through suffering, that respect isn't something you beg for, it's something freely given. But even if you don't, even if you walk this path alone for a while, that's okay. Because solitude is not the absence of love, it's the presence of peace. and peace is worth far more than any relationship built on fear. The person you're becoming, the one who sets boundaries, who listens to their intuition, who no longer chases validation, is someone your past self would be proud of. You've survived what tried to destroy you. You've healed from what tried to define you. And now you're free, not just from them, but from the belief that love has to hurt. So take that freedom. Wear it like armor. Let it protect your future. Let it shape your choices. Let it guide you back to the version of yourself that never needed to beg for love in the first place. That's not just healing. That's coming home, and so must we. Before you go, I want to hear from you. What is one thing you know you need to let go of, but haven't yet? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read your experiences and reflections. And if this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe. It's important, much more than you imagine. And trust me, the journey we're on together is just getting started. The next videos are going to go even deeper, so stick around. You won't want to miss what's coming next. See you soon.